Hey guys, some of you expressed a desire to hear some of my thoughts on the Wheel of Time series on Amazon Prime, based on the books that have the same title by Robert Jordan, and I believe the last three were finished by Brandon Sanderson, one of my favorite authors. Um, Now, I think the Wheel of Time series, if you're probably hearing the TV, they're watching a Christmas movie. Sorry for that. Um, they're in the top five of the modern fantasy series, I think. And by fantasy series or modern, I mean everything after J.R.R. Tolkien. Um, and they're really really good. But they're probably not my absolute favorite series, but they are very very good. Um, Now, I had a lot of hopes and a lot of fears coming into it. Um, a lot of fears when I saw the trailers and some of the things they said that are much different than the books. And so I went into it and I was trying to keep an open mind. And I want to lead with some of the pros first. I don't think that, just for that, I don't think that they chose people that looked like how the characters were described in the books. And I think that's a real mistake a lot of times that uh, people do when bringing books to films, and especially with this one, just because there's so much culture and description given in the books about how people look, um, and all that culture and detail kind of goes out the window to a degree. Um, some of it makes sense, some of it's understandable, but I think that they missed the mark there a little bit. But once again, back to the pros. The actors, I think they did a really good job, and I think that they really got to the heart of the characters that they're portraying for the most part. Um, Even though if they didn't quite look how the book described them, um, they they portrayed the characters I think very well, and I think they deserve a lot of credit for that. Um, so that was really good. Special effects were very good. The sets, the designs, everything looked very, very well done. Um, Now, a little mixed thing. I think that they could have showed off the sword skills of some of the people that are really good fighters in it a little bit better. They showed off more of the magic, which I think is understandable, such a wow factor. But they could have done a little bit better job with the sword fighting, and hopefully that picks up a little bit better going forward. Now, um, cons. There's some serious cons, and especially for those that love the books. And they're not nitpicky things, I don't think, but I will try to describe it as best I can and hopefully do it justice. In the books, there's something called being a Taviran. And if you're Taviran, there's three in the books. If you're Taviran, basically you can somewhat influence the pattern of creation and be more heavily influenced. And usually Tavirans come into to effect when you, something massive is happening, and and in the series or in the show, the person that mentions that the Tavirans says there's four, which is there's only three in the books, which isn't the biggest deal. That's not my nitpicking point. But she kind of says, "Oh well, there's four Taviran over in this town, uh, like it's no big deal, like oh yeah, there's four people over here Taviran, whatever, and it just it came off as really really weird, and you would think it would like in the books it was like she didn't know that they were Taviran until she met them, and and saw how things kind of interacted with them, and it just seemed really weird, like this nonchalant. Oh yeah, there's four people here over in this town that are super important, but yeah, whatever. Anyways, continuing on. Um, um, the characters, even though they were good actors, there's three that I felt that they did real injustice to. Um, the first was, which is Tam Althor, and he's the father of one of the main characters, and he's just basically there. He's kind of blah. He's kind of like, yeah, we're just got to include this guy because he's there, which was really unfortunate. Uh, uh, Number two was uh, Tom Maryland, and he's kind of like an entertainer. He was They're called gleemen, but they do music. He plays a harp, a flute, and does tells stories and sings, and he's a really good character in the book. And I always pictured like this classic kind of theater actor playing him, and they kind of reduced him to this kind of gravelly folk singer that plays the guitar, and it just I like the actor for the most part. He's an okay guy, but it was just really disappointing. He just fell so far short of what Tom Maryland was, like significantly. The third character is Paranabara, and he's one of the main characters. And I think once again the actor did a really good job portraying him, but they messed up his story. In the books, he's not married. He's he's still fairly young, and he's a blacksmith or a blacksmith's apprentice. And instead, in the show, and this is a big spoiler here, he's married, and his wife is a blacksmith, and she's in the forge. I think she might be pregnant. I'm not sure. It kind of portrayed it as that. I have to go back and look. I was looking on my watching this on my phone. Um, but he didn't need to be married. That had nothing to do with anything. But he ends up killing her on accident during the battle in a fit of rage, and potentially his unborn child as well. And nothing like that was in the books at all. And I thought it was really unfortunate that they kind of tainted an innocent, gentle giant kind of character like that. And yeah, the biggest thing, the problem that I had was they injected a bit too much of I think our world's current climate into it, as far as reality. And by that I mean, in the series, the books, uh, your gender or your sex is very important to the story. Um, and there's this other underlying, not even underlying, very in your face kind of battle of the sexes going on throughout this whole thing. And there's a bit of reincarnation, and by that I mean you die and you come back as a human again, not like you come back as a bug or something. And you die. If you were a man, you die and you come back as a man. You may not look the same. You're not going to look the same, or not really have your memories or anything like that. But you're going to still be a man. And if you die and you're a woman, you come back as a woman. And this comes into the story so much. I don't want to ruin too much of it, but they kind of like said, "Oh yeah, we don't know if this person that died came back as a man or a woman," and I was just kind of like, "What?" Um, because it was, most stories could get away with like going away from something like that, but it's so integral to the story, not just backstory, the actual like how things operate and how this world is, that it just did not make any sense. Um, and it was a real betrayal, I think, to the core of the story. And sorry this review is so long, but I'm trying to express everything, and I'm not a very quick talker, I don't think, or not very concise. But I'm doing my best, and hopefully you can play this at double time and still get out what you need. All right, at least it's shorter than the first episode. All right, thanks so much. Let me know what you think of my review. If you agree, disagree, and tell me if you like the books or like the show or whatever. Thanks. Bye.